afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's Contra Costa County District 5 Supervisor Candidate Forum. We are excited to have you all here gather as we engage in a meaningful dialogue about the future of our county. All right, wonderful. My name is Mark Orcutt, and I'm proud to serve as the President and CEO of the East Bay Leadership Council. EBLC is a nonprofit organization on a mission to strengthen the economy and improve quality of life through effective advocacy, thoughtful programs, and informative events like this evening. Everything we do much better in partnership. And we are honored to co-host this important event with the Industrial Association of Contra Costa County and the League of Women Voters, Diablo Valley. Let's give it up for our co-hosts, Industrial Association and the League. This forum provides an invaluable opportunity to hear directly from our candidates and seeking to represent District 5 and gain insights into their vision for addressing some of the most pressing challenges and most exciting opportunities that we face as a region. Just as a reminder, today's forum is a nonpartisan forum, as are the organizations that are hosting it. Please refrain from any electioneering in this space. Any kind of election materials can be left out in the lobby in the front. Okay. The EBLC also hosts forum with current elected officials as part of our Capital Series. The final part of the 2024 series will be held on Tuesday, August 24th, and feature Assemblymember Tim Grayson. More information is on our website at eastbayleadershipcouncil.com. Before we begin, I want to extend a heartfelt thank you to our sponsors and event partners for their collaboration in making today's event possible and supporting the ongoing work of the Industrial Association and the East Bay Leadership Council. So, a special thank you to IBEW Local 302 for sponsoring and generously sharing their space with us this evening. Thank you, IBEW. I'd also like to thank, I've got a long list, so I'll have, hold your applause until I have finished the list. AT&T, Central Contra Costa Sanitary District, Contra Costa Electric, H-Cycle, the Hospital Council of Northern and Central California, John Muir Health, the Martinez Refining Company, Mount Diablo Resource Recovery, Phillips 66, Republic Services, and the Western States Petroleum Association. Please join me in thanking our sponsors for their support of this and all of our work. Okay. I'd also like to recognize our partners from several chambers of commerce who are vital to everything that we do and played a critical role in promoting tonight's forum to business leaders across the region. Hold your applause once again. The Greater Concord Chamber of Commerce, the Crockett Chamber of Commerce, the Martinez Chamber of Commerce, the Pittsburgh Chamber of Commerce, the Pleasant Hill Chamber of Commerce, and the Walnut Creek Chamber of Commerce and Visitors Bureau. Thank you, chambers. Okay, I'm almost done, and we're finally to the part that matters. So finally, most importantly, I want to express my gratitude to the two candidates, Shanelle Scales-Preston and Mike Barbanica, for taking the time to join us and for sharing their perspectives with us this afternoon. Engaging in open and respectful dialogue is essential as part of a thriving democracy, and I appreciate their willingness to participate. So with that, I will turn it over to Janet Hoy from the League of Women Voters, Diablo Valley, who will introduce the format and guide us through the discussion. Janet. Get this out of your way.
Thank you very much, Mark. Can you all hear me? Yes? Great. I'm Janet Hoy. I'm with the League of Women Voters, Diablo Valley, and I want to welcome you all here today. It is wonderful to have a full room like this, so that's great. Thank you very much. This is actually the first candidate forum the League of Women Voters Diablo Valley is doing during this election cycle. So this is our kickoff event, so really glad to be here. For those of you who are unfamiliar with the League of Women Voters, Mark said it, but I'm going to reiterate it. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan political organization. And by nonpartisan, we mean we never, ever, in 104 years, have supported or opposed candidates or parties. We do, though, take positions on issues, and you'll know that because you've probably been aware of some of the stuff that the League has been involved in. Part of our educational function is to be involved with the community on candidate forums, so that's why we're here today. But we are strictly nonpartisan, and we honor that and hold that very dear. And also, just to be clear, I do not live in District 5, so I am not going to be voting in this contest. I don't care who wins, actually. The purpose of this forum is to present to the community the candidates who are running for District 5. And your candidates are Mike Barbanica and Shanelle Scales-Preston. District 5, for those of you who don't know, District 5 serves the communities of Hercules, Rodeo, Crockett, Port Costa, Alhambra Valley, Martinez, Mountain View, Vine Hill, Pacheco, Clyde, Bay Point, and Pittsburgh. And just because I like to do this at each one of these things, I'm going to give you the 2 sentences of what a Board of Supervisors does and what a supervisor does. The board oversees most county departments and programs and annually approves their budgets. The board supervises the official conduct of county officers and employees, controls all county property, and appropriates and spends money on programs that meet county residents' needs. It is a big job, and we have a big county. The League and our co-hosts are recording this forum in its entirety. It will be posted unedited to the League of Women Voters Diablo Valley's YouTube page and to CCTV, hence the reason we have the camera back there. You are being recorded too. This says candidates have drawn random numbers to determining the opening order. There are only 2, so we figured that out pretty easily and where they were going to sit. The candidates will have 2 minutes to make an opening statement, and then they will have 2 minutes to make a closing statement. And the order of the opening statement will be reversed for the closing statement. In turn, once we start the questions and answers, they will have 90 seconds to answer each question. They don't have to use the whole time. We have a lot of questions, so we hope to get through most of them. A few reminders for you guys. If you have a question, you can write it on a 3x5 card, and there are people out there. I think the Marks, somebody's waving cards back there. Ann Flynn, who's also from the League, is back there. Please fill out the card, and so is Anna Honda back there. Fill out the card, and the Marks over here will go through them, and then they'll bring them up to me. Since the forum is being recorded, we do ask that you silence your cell phones, please, out of respect for the time and effort that went into providing this forum, and to ensure that there is no improper use of the forum's content. We ask that you do not film or record this afternoon's program. We also ask that you refrain from cheers or applause in order to preserve the integrity of the process and have adequate time to hear the candidates' answers. We thank you in advance for your cooperation. We have 2 other people from the League who are in front here. Those are our timers. So they will make sure, they are Valerie and Anna, right there, and they will hold up those yellow and red signs. Yellow means 15 seconds to go. Red means stop, stop, stop. So that's how the candidates will know. Okay. For the next 30 minutes or so, I will present, So we'll now proceed to the 2-minute opening statements, and we are going to begin with Mike.
Thank you very much. My name is Mike Barbanica. I'm running for County Supervisor, District 5. Thank you very much to all of the organizations that brought us here today. To me, it's important. This is more important to me than, say, advertising or mailers, or this is where you get to hear from both of us. And I think it's extremely important that you hear our personal messages today. So this is our second event that Shanelle and I have had together. We did this a few hours ago, very similar, but on Zoom. And a little bit about myself. So I am a husband. My wife is sitting right here, of 33 years. We have 3 children together. Our children are all grown and gone. Our oldest daughter is a physician assistant. My son is a police officer in the city of Pittsburgh and actually works my old beat. I'll get to that in a minute, in my previous career. And our daughter is a prosecutor. Our youngest daughter is a prosecutor, and we have 6 grandkids. We're business owners within the community. We've been business owners since 2005. I did a 21-year career with the Pittsburgh Police Department, retiring there as a lieutenant. Had a great career, retired due to an injury, or I would still be there today. I got into politics years ago because I didn't agree with the way things were headed within our communities. And I looked at everything from the quality of life issues that we're all seeing every day when you walk into a grocery store and you see a cart full of items that's running out and nobody able to do anything, to we're driving down the street and you see encampments and you see blight on the side of the road. These types of issues need to be addressed within our community. They're giving me the sign here, so I'll wrap it. But we'll get to know each other more through this process. Thank you very much for having us.
Thank you, Mike. Shanelle?
Good evening, and thank you. I think for me, the most biggest part of public service is my community. And for those of you who know me, know I enjoy being on the ground around my community and connecting with our community at different community events. And so over the past 23 years, September 1st was actually my anniversary. I've been working for Congressman George Miller, and when he retired, I started working for Congressman Mark DeSaulnier. I currently also serve on the Pittsburgh City Council and been serving since 2018. I have done a lot of work while serving on the council that I'm very proud of. One of our top priorities within the city has been public safety and making sure that we keep our community safe, as well as keeping our numbers at the adequate level for our residents, and making sure that our police officers have the tools that we need. A huge priority for me has been youth services, and so for those that know me, I spend a lot of time at our youth center that I fought to get open. I spend a lot of time at our schools, making sure I provide community engagement with them, letting them know what the democratic process looks like and how you can create change within your community. I also serve on regional boards, MCE, the League of California Cities, Tri-Delta Transit, Transplant, which coordinates transportation in East Contra Costa County. My time with the congressman, I get to work in all of these different cities and work with our city managers and elected officials on creating projects within their cities as well. And I think the most biggest thing I'll leave you with before you get to all of the questions is my goal is to really create community engagement and having community create change within some of our unincorporated areas. Thank you.
Thank you, Shanelle. For the next 30 minutes or so, I will present questions, which are right here. I will do my best to ensure that each candidate answers each question. Neither candidate has seen any of the questions prior to this forum. Candidates will have 1.5 minutes, 90 seconds to respond. And the first question goes to Shanelle. And this one has to do with budgets. Shanelle, what are your top priorities for county budget funds?
So my top priorities would be, of course, our healthcare, as well as looking at youth services throughout the county, since that's something I'm really passionate about, and how do I create change there. I'm also very passionate about when it comes to creating housing and how do we create more affordable housing in areas that that's on county property, or how do we work with cities as well. And then, lastly, it would be coordinating how do we look at these different modes of transportation throughout our city and creating those housing job. Are you stopping the mic for me, or? Okay. I didn't know if that was a sign to cut me off sooner, so I'll put the mic up closer. Thank you. And created a housing job balance within East Contra Costa County, or District 5. We spend a lot of time on the road, but we do not have job centers within our communities, and that's something huge that we need to change and attract. And I believe that with my regional experience and these different rooms that I'm in through my other job that I serve in, I can help bring that experience to the board. Thank you.
Thank you, Shanelle. And Mike?
So my number one priority has always been public safety. If you don't feel safe to go outside of your home and go down to the store in the evening hours, or your spouse, whether it's your husband or your wife, whoever, your kids going down to the store at night, it's a problem. We need to look at where is money for public safety being spent within this community. Second is homelessness. We have a problem with homelessness, as does the rest of the state of California. But this county has spent hundreds of millions of dollars in homelessness. And the question is what do we have to show for it? Are we getting people off the street into long-term solutions? My wife and I, starting in 2007, developed a program where we have 576 people today housed that were on the street or were facing homelessness. We can do this at a county level. And then blight and homelessness, often people will look at one and think it's the other. Sometimes there is crossover there, but what can we do relative to getting blight off our streets, especially in the unincorporated areas of this county? I drive through Point, I drive through Rodeo, I drive through Crockett, and you see piles of things on the side of the road. These areas have been forgotten. This would be a huge priority for me to make sure that we're spending money in the right places, and I don't believe we have been. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. The next question, Mike will start. The question is on transportation. What is your vision for improving transportation infrastructure in District 5?
So the infrastructure is very important. There is no doubt. We have to continue to invest in transportation and work with not only within the county system, but work with our state and federal leaders as well. But the real issue is jobs. Why do we have so many people within our community getting on the freeway every day and leaving their communities to get to a destination, to a job? We can't attract employers, serious employers that are going to bring serious jobs into this area without first addressing the three issues that I just talked about. Employers aren't going to come to an area that they don't feel safe or that their workers don't feel safe. They're not going to come to an area that's been overrun, that every day they have to go and clean up the mess, either left by unhoused residents with tents around the area, using public bathrooms. And when I say public bathrooms, I mean the sidewalk, the street, etc. We need to address those issues, bring jobs into the community, clean up the blight that we're seeing, work on increasing the size of our code enforcement. Again, in the city of Antioch, I doubled the size of code enforcement. That was a huge task, and I was able to sell, fortunately, 3 other members on the council to support that. They supported me in that. We can do the same at the county. We need to bring jobs here to increase our transportation relative to our congestion, and then we'll start to see some change.
Thank you, Mike. Shanelle?
Yes, so in terms of transportation, we definitely have to look at different modes of transportation. So some of our cities in District 5 are currently looking at the ferry service. So you have Pittsburgh, Martinez, Hercules, and Antioch that's looking at working together to create ferry service to get people off the road. Second, I know in Hercules the federal government has provided federal funding for their transportation hub, where they'll have Amtrak, since they do not have BART that comes all the way down. And so that'll help alleviate traffic along 80 corridor. Also, you know, as we're looking at transportation, we have to also look at like Bailey Road. It's a way that we can widen Bailey Road. It's a really old road coming from Pittsburgh to Concord. However, we have a lot of East County, Brentwood, Antioch, Oakley that comes through Pittsburgh, go over Bailey Road into Concord and farther out. So that is something that we're looking at Transplant, the Transportation Committee I sit on. We're also looking at how can we widen Kirker Pass, because this is another road that's an outlet as well. And then we've been working with Contra Costa Transportation Authority. We just approved those micro transit little cars for East Contra Costa County, so people don't have to ride on BART. They can also take that as a different mode of having a direct access somewhere. Thank you.
Thank you, Shanelle. The next question, Shanelle, you will start. It is on housing and rent control. What strategies might the county employ to increase the supply of housing at all income levels? Additionally, what is your stance on rent control?
So housing is a huge topic. As I shared during my opening we really have to look at ways that we can create more affordable housing. Some of the things that we have done in the city of Pittsburgh, we have looked at some of our blighted areas where we have worked with Yellow Roof Foundation to create manufacturing homes that was on a blighted lot that was at one time had encampments. And now we have, worked with Stan and some of our teachers that are living in those spaces there. We also have created affordable housing. We created workforce housing. We have a 200 unit that we just opened up in June on our Ford parking lot, which was also blighted, just was sitting there. And then we have created veterans housing as well for our vets in our community because they were unhoused and providing them a HUD-VASH voucher. All of these different housing types are something that I would look at throughout District 5. Like, how do we look at old shopping centers and create that and rezone it to be housing and commercial at the same time to create more infill? I think that is the key. And then lastly, towards the rent control was the last part of that question. I think that's something that every city is starting to look at, and including ours, is something that I've been in support of and want to make sure that people have a place to stay. Everyone should have a roof over their head.
Thank you, Shanelle. Mike?
So I've been working on affordable housing since 2007, and it takes different forms. It's not just let's get somebody in to buy a home. What people don't understand is that the housing market is set by HUD. HUD will send, when I say housing market, I'm talking about the rental market and getting people off the streets. That is set, pricing is set by HUD. They put out a list every year and they say here in Contra Costa County is what we are willing to pay. If you get 3 comps that comp out to this, we are willing to pay this. That sets the market. The issue is that there are people standing in line trying to get off the street, but they can't get into these programs because the programs are broken. The reason the programs are broken, most people don't understand. If you get into a county housing program, for example, you get penalized if you work. You have to pay more money for your house if you work. You also can will that to your children. And I get people that call me up and said, hey, I'm looking for a property. I need to quit my job. And I say, why do you need to quit your job? And they say, because I get penalized in this program if I'm working. And a family member just died and willed this to me. The system is broken. I know I'm out of time. Real quick, I support AB 1482, which does establish a maximum rent increase that in the state of California. Thank you.
So, Mike, this next question will go to you. This is on economic development. What do you envision for the future of the Northern Waterfront? And how do you plan to support the implementation of the Northern Waterfront Economic Development Initiative?
So I very much support the developing of the waterfront. The issue has been, and the way I found this out is I went and talked with developers that have had interest in working with the Northern Waterfront and bringing in manufacturing, bringing in jobs, bringing in recreation to those areas. The problem these developers consistently have told me is that there's a bottleneck within the county system. They can't get permits. They can't get a license, essentially, if you would, to actually bring in something that's going to be good for the community. They say zoning is a huge issue. They have an area, for example, in a marina that they want to bring in some entertainment. It's not zoned correctly. They say it's a nightmare to go through the county system. So until we actually fix the way people are able to pull permits and start projects within this county, the Northern Waterfront is going to continue to very slowly develop. We need to partner with these groups, keeping in mind the environmental impact, because it's not just all about development. We have the ability to bring in recreation. We have the ability to bring in manufacturing, transportation. There are a lot of things with this Northern Waterfront that we can do, but the county system has bottlenecked it and is not allowing it to develop the way it could.
Thank you, Mike. Shanelle?
Yes, our Northern Waterfront is a beautiful shoreline, and there's so much that we can do with it. I mean, we can look at it in a recreational standpoint, but we can also look at it as, promoting green jobs and good paying jobs. And I hope by serving on MCE, that's something I will be able to work with and attract, businesses along the Northern Waterfront as well. I just wanted to circle back on that housing question of the county and HUD, because just listening to Councilmember Barbanica talk about that program, that HUD is a federal HUD program, which is the Section 8 program, and it's not necessarily a county program. And so that is directed by the federal government that gives the numbers and the limits of how much housing should be within each city. And then vouchers just don't come that easily. Vouchers is allocated based on when we do our census. That's why we encourage people to do their census, so that we can have more services, more funding from the federal government, including the vouchers. So we have to do more and go beyond just housing vouchers. We have to go into create housing, working with nonprofit housing developers. How do we collaborate together? How do we collaborate together with creating housing within our city on a regional level?
Thank you, Shanelle.
Are we allowed a response if it's directed to us?
You can take a 1-minute rebuttal.
Okay, so with that, I appreciate the opportunity. This is what I do for a living. I know the system very well. I actually just work with housing to rewrite the contract to bring landlords easier into the system. So here's the way it works. It comes from HUD, but our local office is Contra Costa County Housing. They're the ones that actually send out, here is the amount that we're willing to pay. They do the inspections, etc. The system, unfortunately, is broken. And they're doing the best that they can, but this is an office that is overseen by the Board of Supervisors. And so there's no easy answer for housing. And yes, there are a finite number of abilities, let's put it for the lack of a better term, for people to actually get these vouchers. But there is a pathway to it, and the Veterans Administration is one that I work with that is a pathway. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. And just so the audience knows, each candidate is allowed 2 1-minute rebuttals throughout the course of the forum. Okay, Shanelle, this next one is for you, and the topic is small business. How will you support small businesses in District 5, particularly those struggling to compete with larger employers as the state minimum wage increases?
Yes, thank you. I'm proud to say in Pittsburgh, we're already doing it. That's been a huge focus. We created a Pittsburgh Eats program last year, and we had 14 businesses go through this program. We worked with the Small Business Administration. Some of these businesses were businesses that had food trucks. Some of them did have a business in Pittsburgh and it closed down. We helped them create menus. We helped them with their budget. And, create a foundation of how to own a business, how to run the business, how to put your footprint out there on Yelp and Google and Facebook so that people will come to your business. If you go to our downtown area now, you don't see all of these stores or doors that are closed. We have businesses there. We have several businesses that has opened just this year that we're very proud of. Our community, that's what I would do, is invest into small businesses, helping them, taking the steps, going through programs so that they can open businesses throughout District 5.
Thank you, Shanelle. Mike?
So I am a small business owner, and I've been a small business owner since 2007. I know what it's like to have to make payroll. I know what it's like when you have damage within your organization that you have to pay for. I know what it's like to pay for marketing, those types of things. For small business, we should be partnering with our local small businesses. In Antioch, we do that, but this can be brought to a county level. And we realize that these small businesses are the backbone of employment. Things have changed since COVID, and not everybody comes into an office anymore. Unfortunately, we have a lot of empty office space out there that is sitting. And right now, when talking to commercial real estate brokers, it's not a quick fix as far as bringing businesses back in or bringing employees back into those businesses. So as a small business owner, I can tell you it is a very difficult thing at times when you're the last one to get paid. Why? Because you need to make sure your rent is paid, your PG&E is paid, your employees are paid. You have to keep these people on staff. And when we are requiring more and more and more financially of our small business owners, it places more of a burden on them, and you're going to start seeing more and more things like businesses without storefronts going just to online. That's a problem. That is a problem when all of us want to go out and shop. We need to be there for our small businesses and realize they don't have the resources that these large corporations do.
Thank you, Mike. And sticking with you for the next question. What would you do if elected to support families with young children in District 5?
So I would continue the program that I would continue the program that we already have in place. And that program is making sure single mothers, and we've been doing this since 2007, are not on the street. Children are not on the street. We need to make sure that we partner with these folks, get them off the street, get them into these programs. Housing isn't the only program that we can bring people into. Here is the problem. Housing is forever. We need as a county to invest in programs that are shorter term, 18 to 36 months, with job placement to allow people to get out of the system and then become self-sufficient. If we are just continuing to add vouchers in our system and handing somebody a voucher for life, saying not only do you not have to work, we're going to penalize you for not working, and you can just keep willing this to everybody else. What does the future hold for that? So yes, housing is good, but we also need to look at getting people into shorter term programs that are not going to be something where they just get stuck on this wheel. It's not just about housing. It's about getting people out there and back into the workforce. That in turn will also bring small business into the area.
Thank you, Mike. Shanelle. Yes, of course. What would you do if elected to support families with young children in District 5?
So I think the biggest thing for working families is making sure that their kids have a safe space. Childcare is really expensive. I know that when my two boys was young, I felt like I was working just to pay for childcare. My whole check went to childcare every month. And so ways that we can look at supporting families, especially single moms, I think is really important so that they can work and they don't have to worry as much about childcare and just not have that burden on them. The second thing that I really am happy that the county is supporting is youth centers because that is an affordable way. And so the county's looking at putting youth centers in Concord. We're out in East County as well. And so I think that would be really helpful in District 5, knowing that our families spend a lot of time on the freeway, an hour to an hour and a half. Their young people would have somewhere to go. And then in terms of our young adults who are looking for jobs, in the city of Pittsburgh, we have apprenticeship programs. I just recently last year helped bring the apprenticeship program to the city of Pittsburgh called Civic Corps. We have Future Builds. We also support Opportunity Junction, but we also support our trades within our city. And so earlier this year, I had our middle school students go out to our Boilermakers Hall, and every week it was a different junior high where our young people had the opportunity to get that experience of apprenticeship programs and what that would look like for them for a job.
Great. Thank you, Shanelle. You can keep the mic. This goes to you. The next one is a public safety question. What do you see as the most important strategies for addressing public safety and preventing crime in our region?
So I see public safety as a holistic approach. First is making sure that we are staffed up to the levels that we need to be, and ensuring that our officers have all the tools that they need to do their job, and that's what I have done within the city of Pittsburgh. But I also see it as how do we support our youth so that they're not getting in trouble. So we have our officers going into the school doing programs, starting off at elementary and junior high, creating a relationship with our young people. I think is so important. I was just at the seafood festival and I was talking to one of the officers, and we had a kid area, and one of the moms came up to the officer and said, "Thank you for really taking an interest in my child. My daughter has really turned around over the past year." That's what that looks like. Creating that relationship, creating that community engagement with our officers. And that's part of public safety because we have to really have that holistic approach. I serve on the Pittsburgh PAL board and our public safety subcommittee as well, where I have done a gun buyback program. We had got over 200 guns back last year. I also have supported, the officers going out in the park and having like a snow cone day or a popcorn day, just doing something where we can connect on a different level. Thank you.
And Mike.
So public safety is where I come from. That's why I spent 21 years. My son is doing it now, working mile beat. My daughter's a prosecutor. This is something that our entire life we've been around. We're 3 generations of law enforcement, starting first off with my mom. And so this is something that I very much understand. When I was in Pittsburgh, I was called in by the chief, and the chief said, "Our crime is out of control. I need you to do something about it. You have pick of the list," meaning take the roster and pick 5 officers that you want and go down and solve the crime problem downtown. You have free reign as far as what hours you're set to work and what assignments you want to work. So we launched a campaign in there. It was a 2-month assignment that I was on. I went to my wife and I said, "I need to do this for 2 months. We're going to go address crime." The program was so successful, 6 years later, I was still on the program, still running that program. And we did everything from addressing robberies that were occurring, burglaries that were occurring, street-level narcotics, prostitution, human trafficking. We were buying narcotics undercover on the street, doing drug raids. Within the first 2 years, we were credited for lowering our crime rate 23.87%. You've got to prosecute criminals that need to be prosecuted and get those that are addicted to drugs and mental illness into programs to get them off the street.
Thank you, Mike. Next question goes to you, Mike. And this is a healthcare question. What will you do to help improve access to high-quality health care while ensuring that providers continue to thrive in our region?
So we have a bill, and the number of the proposition right now that we're going to be voting on escapes me. However, I just met with a group of doctors, and this was a big concern of theirs. And that group of doctors says, look, on this proposition that's occurring, this will help level out what we're being paid. So even if you have health care, it doesn't necessarily mean that a specific medical facility will take you. Those funds have been used outside of our county system and outside of our local healthcare system and used in Sacramento. That has to change. That's coming up November 5th, and you can vote for that on November 5th. I'm a supporter of that. That's a first step to putting money back into our system. We can't expect these doctors that have a practice to run to work for free. We need to get the money back into the system. The other thing is that we have the ability with folks that are on the street that don't have the ability to get to a hospital or get to a doctor to ensure that that could occur. We have, for example, Delta Landing, which I was a supporter of. Delta Landing, also the Executive Inn in Antioch, these all have wraparound services and access to not only mental health, but also dentists and also physicians. That needs to continue and continue to grow, but we've got to bring the money back into the system first to allow people to pay for health care.
Thank you, Mike. Shanelle.
Yes. First off, I just want to give my hats off to different community-based organizations and nonprofits that really focus on healthcare within our communities. They do a lot of work on the ground for individuals who do not have healthcare. I want to also look at how, the majority of the budget goes to our healthcare right now. And, Measure X being a huge supporter of helping us with that healthcare. But our clinics are huge. I was just at La Clinic a couple of weeks ago, and, they talk about people are not having, money just to even get to a clinic. So we have to look at how do we get, for transportation-wise, how do we get people to clinics so that they can get the services they need? I think that's huge and that's really important. We also have to look at, having more people within our community from Contra Costa Health and other services to meet where they are. People don't always want to go into a health center. And so you have to meet them wherever they're at. So if that's at a community event and they are able to get their blood pressure checked, their sugar checked, we have a lot of nonprofits that do that right in our community, and that's how they figure out that something is going on with them.
Thank you, Shanelle. The next question is for you, and it concerns mental health. What steps will you take to improve mental health outcomes, especially for BIPOC communities, and in cases of those who may be at risk of being incarcerated rather than receive treatment?
So when it comes to mental health, it really hits home for me. Growing up in my area of Pittsburgh, it was drugs. My brother was using drugs, selling drugs. And he ended up, was part of that 3 strikes law. He had a second strike. He spent 11 years in jail, and he had mental health issues. When he came home, he was probably home less than a year, but he ended up taking my father's life. And so, when he was sent home, we didn't know what type of medication he was using. No one shared that with my elderly parents. They just And so, I think first we need to make sure that we have mental health services and not putting people in jail, because that doesn't solve the problem. We need to make sure we have substance abuse centers and not putting people in jail, because that does not solve the problem, because I'm a living example of that. It ruins families. It breaks families apart. And it's something that, as a elected official, I have been making sure to use my voice each and every time, because I know the importance of providing funding for those things. You can't have that stigma there and people don't talk about it, and using funding for that. So with our youth, we have spoken word where these teenagers are talking about being depressed, talking about having mental health issues, and to start there. I would like to look at doing things like that throughout our district.
Thank you, Shanelle. Mike?
So mental health is not a crime. It's something that everybody probably in this room either knows somebody who suffers from some sort of mental health, friend, family, cousin, whoever. But we don't have the adequate resources. How many times do you see on television, there was a shooting, for example, and this person had been crying out for help for some time? There is not adequate help out there. This is a huge problem. Our county is attempting to solve it right now. I can tell you what we did in Antioch was we put together, and it wasn't my idea, but once the idea was presented to me, I thought, okay, I understand. And at first I was a proponent of getting on the county's response system. First off, a mental health crisis is not necessarily a police-related call. We need to separate those out. In Antioch, we have, unless there's violence or some thought of violence, we have a mental health response team that goes out. And this has helped so many people within the community. If we're going to be investing in something in the county, that is one area that we really need to focus the investment, because those folks are out there that need our help. Our current county system is, although they're trying, it's inadequate for the size of this county. The funding for that needs to be substantially increased, and we as supervisors need to ensure that happens.
Thank you, Mike. Next question goes to you, and it concerns climate change. What policies would you implement to address the impacts of climate change, particularly wildfires and drought? How will this work within the county's climate action plan?
So what I've made a practice to do each time that I've been faced with something, for example, development in an area that could affect the climate, is I sit down not only with the developer, but I also sit with the environmental groups. There has not been one project that I've looked at and voted on where I haven't done this and sat down and said, how is this going to have the impact? As supervisors or as politicians, we can't be experts in every single field, but we need to rely on the people that are. So for example, when I have a development that's coming in and cutting into the hills, and I'm looking at the environment here and what is that going to do to the environment, I have no problem reaching out to organizations like Save Mount Diablo, for example, and saying, I've already spoke to the developer. Can you tell me how this will have an effect? Same thing when we're talking about the waterfront. When we're talking about rising levels, sea levels, when we're talking about what's going to occur in the future that we don't even know about yet, what can we do to prepare for that now? And a big part of that preparation is bringing in outside experts that understand or see this different than we do. It doesn't mean we stop developing. It just means we may modify the way we develop and look at things a little bit differently, putting the environment in first light there.
Thank you, Mike. Shanelle.
Yes, when it comes to the environment, I think we, all our leaders, sorry, I thought the mic was stopping again. And you know, when we're looking at jobs, we look at how do we still create good paying jobs, and we're working with our trades of what that change may look like towards the future. We're working with our environmental groups to work together with creating that change. I support the Contra Costa climate plan through the county. And I just wanted to circle back on the last thing for the mental health as part of my time. And that was because I'm very proud of the Anytime, Anywhere, Any Place. And that's the new mental health program here within Contra Costa County. Because serving on the congressman's staff, that was something that I got to work on firsthand with that program being developed. As well as our city police department was part of that program too. And so I know with the funding from Measure X helped bring that program, but with dollars from the federal government also helped create that program where if someone is having a mental health issue or a crisis, it's not that it's a police officer that's coming forward to help. It's someone that is a clinician that is coming out to help those individuals.
Great. This is our final question. Oh, we do? Two. Okay, good. Two more. Okay. Well, I'll ask this one first. So, Shanelle, this is for you. Do you support the ballot measure to lower the voting threshold to pass housing infrastructure bonds and any investments you would prioritize? And this is Prop 5, and the wording from that is it allows local bonds for affordable housing and public infrastructure with 55% voter approval versus 66.7 as it is currently.
Yes.
That's to you.
Yes, I do support that. As I shared earlier on, how important housing is. In the city of Pittsburgh, we're working on housing with a nonprofit organization now to create housing for foster youth. So it's aged out foster youth needing a place to stay. You know, we have a lot of our young people that attend LMC, but they don't have a place to stay and they're couch surfing. And their foster youth. So having that bond and supporting that bond will create housing for everyone, especially the low-income housing that we're looking for.
Thank you, Shanelle. Mike?
Yes, the short answer is absolutely. I do support that. When we're looking at my three top issues, public safety, homelessness, and blight, it plays right into that. We have to bring in more housing into the area. And it doesn't mean, there's a misconception out there that says if we bring affordable housing in, that we're somehow over, you hear this, where are people that don't need affordable housing? Where are they going to buy? Where are they going to live? It doesn't mean that one is exclusive to the other. In other words, we're not going to bring in affordable housing and then push out other types of housing. It just provides more opportunity for more people to get off the street and actually get into housing. For those people that want home ownership, it's a perfect opportunity for them. Some people don't. Some people want to rent in homes, and we should have an avenue for those folks as well. Some folks have decided early on that they have other priorities. But when we see as many people we have, when we look at the point in time counts throughout this county, and we have as many people as we do that are living on the street, obvious the system that we have right now with people that can't afford to buy a home or rent a home is not working. And it's not just about handouts. That's not what we're talking about here. There are times to help people. Certainly, this is an avenue where we could bring more affordable housing into this county and help people with home ownership. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Is this the final question? Okay, this is the final question. And Mike, you are going to start. What is your position on the Delta conveyance?
I would need to read more about the Delta conveyance before I could actually give, an answer relative to. So, yeah, I would need to study that up before I can truly give you an answer.
Shanelle, do you have an answer for that, or should I choose another question? Okay, okie dokie. Okay, this is a good final question. We'll start with you again. Okay, as council members in your respective cities, what have you done to help your city thrive?
Thank you for the question. So the city that I'm in as a council member, we have double the size of code enforcement. We've brought in millions of dollars of CDBG money to help nonprofits in the area and get people off the street. We are working to rebuild a police department that got caught up in what occurred here countywide. For those of you that don't know, just the 10-15 second thing, we all know what I'm talking about here with what's gone on here with the police scandals in Contra Costa County. This started out, City of Pittsburgh. The chief received a letter regarding criminal activity that was occurring from an officer. That went to the DA's office, ended up with the FBI, and that spilled out into other agencies, such in Antioch being one of them. Since that time, we've brought in a fantastic police chief that I worked with in the city of Pittsburgh. He's rebuilding that police department. I've made sure that I brought body cams in for police accountability, dash cams for police accountability, doubled the size of code enforcement, and we've paid down our unfunded liabilities. We used $21 million of ARPA money to bring programs in. We've established a mental health team that is out there in place of officers, and increased the amount of assistance that we've given to, especially to single mothers and people in need within the community. I'm going to continue to do that as long as I'm there.
Great, thank you. Shanelle?
Yes, in the city of Pittsburgh is thriving. I'm very proud since I've been on the council since 2018. As I shared, we recently opened up our Youth Community Center last June. We are currently building a 40,000 square foot gym where our young people can have AAU basketball and cheer tournaments and volleyball tournaments. And it's something that will also bring revenue to our city, and our parents, well, I guess our parents, don't have to travel their kids to like Sacramento and Oakland and all these other places to do these sports. We have 8 soccer fields that's coming across the street from that gym and whole youth complex. Um, what I heard when I was campaigning in 2018 in San Marco, we don't have any stores or restaurants. Well, our Sprouts grocery store will be opening up next month, and we're very proud of that. And it'll be 2 restaurants and the Starbucks on that site, because Starbucks is very popular in the city of Pittsburgh. And so, we have a hotel that's being built. If you drive past Railroad, we have a wine bar that opened up last year. You go downtown, we have restaurants, New Market, another hotel that's coming down Leland. I can go on and on about all great things happening in Pittsburgh.
Thank you very much. So we got through 12 questions, and if you count Delta Conveyance, 12 and a half maybe, or 12 and a quarter perhaps. So I want to apologize to anybody whose questions I didn't answer. There's just a few of them here. I think our candidates will probably hang out for a little while if you want to come up and talk to them directly. So we're going to move on to closing statements. Closing statements are 2 minutes each, and Shanelle, you are up first.
Thank you. I appreciate you all coming out tonight or this evening. I know that there is a debate coming up, and so to get out of here, so thank you for your time for coming to do that. For me, our community come first. The needs of our community come first. And I'm a community person, and I have spent my last 23 years on the ground connecting with community and helping people with issues and helping our cities. I have been a collaborative and a team player and recognized for my work through the Congressman's office, as well as my work as being on City Council and being on all of these regional committees. I get stuff done. As I shared the long list that I could have kept rattling down for the city of Pittsburgh, how we have brought all these new things. What I would bring to the Board of Supervisors is new life, young, great energy, but also to get things done. You'll have a leader here in the community that has proven herself over the past 23 years. And I would make sure that I would support our youth programs, I would support public safety, I would support economic development and jobs throughout community. I would support affordable housing for all income levels. And I would be here to listen. My door would be open to you. I would not just be in one part of the county. I enjoy being everywhere. You can't make me sit down, so believe me when I tell you that. I am here to listen to our community and provide community engagement and support. I want to work together to get projects done. I want our vision to come alive together. I'm here to work for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Shanelle. And Mike.
So thank you for your time today. I very much appreciate everybody being here listening. I started in public service in 1985. So however many years ago, that was a long time ago. And I've continued on that path, and I will continue in public service. It's something that I enjoy doing. I didn't start this out because I needed a job. I have my own company that I run. My wife retired from John Muir specifically to run a good portion of my company while I'm doing this campaigning and transitioning into this. So this is something that is a passion of mine. Looking at public safety, homelessness, and blight. Those are things that are very near and dear to me. And if we don't get these under control, we will not change the direction of this county. Those three things, in my opinion, are very key to this county moving forward. Now, talking about this election, one of the things that's been disturbing so far in this election are the typical politics that we all see that I think we all agree nobody cares for. And that is personal attacks. Sitting here as we're sitting here today in IBEW's hall, it's disappointing to me, these men and women knowing me, that they're out running at $100,000 personal attacks and taking out television ads. We in this county have to get past those types of things. I'm a retired police detective that worked sexual assault for IBEW or any other groups that are supporting my opponent to claim that I'm against women's rights, it's ludicrous. To claim a 21-year police officer is promoting or okay with gun violence, ludicrous. So let's get past this and deal with these issues. Get to know the two of us and then make your decision. It shouldn't be politics as usual. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Let's give a quick round of applause for our candidates. And there's 2 minutes left. I won't take them, I promise. I want to thank our co-hosts in the Industrial Association and the East Bay Leadership Council for co-hosting this forum along with us at the League. We'd like to thank you very much for showing up and being a part of this. And a quick plug for the League, if you have any questions about the statewide ballot propositions, there are 10 of them on the ballot. A few are easy, a few are pretty darn complicated. We, the League, have a public program, Pleasant Hill Community Center on September the 30th, 7 p.m., open to the public. Please come, and I can get information out to the leaders of this group to let you know about that. Also, vote 411. The election is coming up. Ballots are going to be mailed October 7th. You're going to be getting your ballot, if you're a registered voter, in the mail soon. Vote411.org is your one-stop shop. Nonpartisan information, candidate statements written by them, not by us. We don't even edit them. So please remember, vote411.org, and we have these to hand out to you if you would like them. Thank you very much.